Hi, this is David Zach interviewing John Houston with the Dayton Development Coalition. Hi, John. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Good.
My first business visit to Springfield.
Well, we're glad to have you. Talk about yourself and the Entrepreneurial Signature Program.
Well, I recently joined the Dayton Development Coalition, and the coalition are managing agents for the State of Ohio Third Frontier Program in the Dayton area. And the Third Frontier Program is an effort by the Department of Development of Ohio State to encourage development, companies to move into the area in the field, in more modern technology type businesses like composite materials, sensors, nanotechnology, human biosciences, in the more modern industries rather than the traditional smokestack industries. Mm-hmm. And they've made available something like $13 million for investment in small companies who are either just starting or they're trying to get a new product onto the market. And we can provide funding either in a way of a loan to help them get started for operating capital, but we also have a separate fund put aside for what we call development services. And these are services that a company might need help with in moving a product forward from the imagination stage to perhaps building a prototype, perhaps doing some test marketing with some prospective customers, or getting evaluations in the industry. And there are several stages of moving a product from the imagination stage to becoming an established product in the market, recognized, let's say, by the general public. And quite often a small company, they don't have the financing to move a product forward very quickly. And it can also be a bit risky for them because having built a prototype, that's based upon someone's idea of what the market may need, but they're never quite certain until they actually launch it whether people are going to buy it. So they might need to do a market research study to just get confirmation that their product offers the functionality and features that the market's looking for. And that might be a hurdle that they just can't get over, because a good market research study might mean $9,000 or $10,000, and that takes selling a lot of product to recoup that kind of investment. So quite often there might be a product that does not get launched on the market for that reason, because they were uncertain. So sometimes the coalition, through the ESP, or the Entrepreneur Signature Program, can help by providing a grant to a company in order to move the product forward.
And so those, again, you described a loan fund, which can be used for investing equity, and then a development services that are grants. And I understand those aren't grants directly to the company, but to the companies that provide the services.
Yeah,
is that
right.
correct?
It's a grant for a service.
Okay.
So rather than depend upon an in-house study being done, we would prefer it to be done by an outside independent agency.
That makes sense.
And so let's or it might be, well, in the case of building a prototype, for example, it may be an in-house thing. So they might say, we estimate we need to in order to build a prototype, it might be $15,000, $20,000.
Right.
In which case, the grants might go directly to the developer. But in other cases where it was a study, a research study, or a pilot marketing program, we would prefer to use an outside consultant to do that, and in which case we would contract with the consultant, and we would issue a purchase order, and we would pay them directly.
Money for prototypes, market studies, patent attorneys, business managers, anything that will help a company get a product closer to market or in the market.
Yes, exactly.
And how much money are we talking in the development services grant side? Like, how much can a company potentially get?
Well, sometimes the amount of development money required is could be in some way related to the size of the investment the company might need. So if a company needed an investment of, say, $1 million, it could be that the development services required to, let's say, minimize the risk that we would be taking in investing $1 million. We might be prepared to spend, say, 5 or 10% of the $1 million. So that could be, say, up to 100,000.
Okay.
To get reconfirmation that this company does have a viable.
So if a company is going to take a loan, at the same time they're going to get a grant, there's chances that grant might be higher because it helps reduce your risk, right?
That's right, yes.
And, so, I mean...
Generally speaking, we're talking in the region of anything from $10,000 to $20,000.
Okay. And what about the investment side? You're not like a traditional bank. You're looking for certain kinds of industries, right? What kind of products and industries are you looking for?
Well, the Entrepreneurial Signature Program does in fact have some parameters because the state is trying to promote research and development and eventually manufacturing of a composite material. I mean, hopefully in maybe 20 years' time, or even less, or 10 or 5, there'll be a composite material that will replace steel.
Yeah, composites are amazing.
Of automobiles, refrigerators. I mean, right now, composite materials are primarily used in aircraft, particularly military aircraft. But there are many household items like a refrigerator, stoves, microwaves, automobiles that are still made in metal or steel. And these are, well, in modern terms, dirty industries.
Right.
You need to smelt it, you need to use a lot of coal or a lot of power. So we're hoping that Ohio, with the money invested in the composite material research, Ohio will become a center for the nation for eventually composite material manufacturing.
Right. So composites and advanced materials, nano applications, sensors are your key signature areas, but you're also willing to look at things in information technology, aerospace, and human sciences as well. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. And we're also looking to help, in general, small businesses, particularly in the outlying areas where there's not a lot of help. However, there are a lot of new businesses developing in these areas that need nurturing and need assistance. And so in which case, the further away we get from the large metropolitan areas, the more flexible we're going to be in which sort of organizations we can help.
Great. Now, on the loan side, we talked about the development services side, which are the grants for the services for companies to get their products into the market quicker, and also to validate an investment you want to make, which is the loan side.
The loan side.
What kind of amounts of money are you willing to invest, and what kind of terms?
Well, generally speaking, we have a program we call the First 50. So that's the first $50,000, and generally that's the minimum. I call it a loan just now, just for. It's a term that most people understand.
Right. But it's almost similar to venture capital in a way, isn't it?
In some way, it is a kind of venture capital because it is, let's say, a loan or financial aid, which is given in the form of an investment. So we are a fund. It's an investment fund. The funding comes from the state of Ohio, but we also have private investors. Some public companies like NCR, like LexisNexis, have invested money in this fund to help economic development in the region. Together with some colleges, UD, Wright State, Sinclair, have also invested in the fund. So we might focus now on the term investors. So they have invested money into this fund, and they're looking for an investment return. And that brings us to how we get repaid by the clients that we invest with. So we might, depending upon the size of the loan or the investment, it could be anything from a general loan repayable over a fixed period of time, and also perhaps some license royalties or some parts of the profits or parts of the revenue.
Hold that thought, John. We're going to continue in part 2 in just a second.